This is the Bush Whisperer coming at you from the beautiful Penguin Sanctuary, Simonstown, Cape Agulhas. This is my second attempt at this video. The first one was disturbed 4 times by my little boy, and I actually had to delete it. It's one of those mornings. He slipped and fell off a rock. He didn't get hurt, thank God. He slipped all the way down the rock into a puddle of the sea, and he's in a funny mood today. But he's okay. We went and changed his clothes. He's good to go. So what I've come to talk to you today about is competition, and it's really, really important to understand how we've been programmed to compete with each other and how fundamental that programming is to upholding this financial system, this systemic control of cultural dogmatizing effects that we're living in this world, where we're being programmed daily and nightly by televisions, phones, huge corporations that are controlling all the money, winning the proverbial competition of financial degradation. And I call it degradation because the way of the world is to degrade the world. Somebody was talking to me about world population recently, and I pointed out to them that there aren't too many people in the world. It's a lie. 90% of all the food resource gets grown for animals so that people can eat too much meat and cause themselves diseases and heart diseases. If the people that ate meat ate less meat, then instead of growing 90% of the food that we grow on the earth for animals, we could grow 40% of the food that we grow on the earth for animals. And that would leave us with a total abundance of food. And instead of the economic system carrying things on airplanes, food from one country to another, so that the Economic World Forum can dictate policies and huge super corporations can manipulate the financial system the way they do in order to control the resources and move them from one country to another in order to manipulate governments so that they fall into tow with the World Economic Forum. This is a big problem on earth, and it's all based on competition, and it starts at school. And because we're programmed to compete as children, we're programmed to run after money and compete with each other. We have these brainwashing dogmas saying that the whole world is natural selection, which it is, and the competition is the basis of nature, which it is, but it also isn't. Shaman understand that nature is also a collaboration. It's a sense of cooperation between different beings, sharing an ecosystem and an environment, operating in a state of harmony and balance, and that all things are falling into the sphere of balance. And so there is no real competition in nature. Nature is just operating. Animals aren't obsessed with competing with each other. They just live their lives. They go seeking their requirements, what they need, and they move on. This unnatural competition is a mental structure that's human, very much an anthropomorphic disease that we've developed. And so we see the whole world as a competitive infrastructure because we are competitive within ourselves. And so this competition is really a problem. The fact that we need to compete with each other. You see women competing with each other. Am I more pretty than that woman? Am I more attractive than her? What has she got that I haven't got? You see men competing. Is his car better than my car? Am I stronger than that man? And so there's this constant unnatural state of competition that we're living in that creates this sense of disconnection from each other. Like there's something to be gotten, something to be had, something I've got to get before you get it kind of feeling. And money becomes the tool of manipulating this competitive state of consciousness and keeping us stuck in it. This is why you have fashions around which phone you have, or what clothes you have, or what labels you're wearing, because those labels cost more money than the other labels. You now have to become financially more viable in order to be higher up the competition scale and be more accepted in society. For if you're doing well in the competition financially, you gain a certain sense of acceptance. This is how we've been programmed to think. It's not healthy. It's disconnecting us from nature. It's disconnecting us from ourselves. It's putting us into a world where we feel stuck, where resources are what we run after. And people become so obsessed with resources that they develop eating disorders or greed. The obsession of working to obtain more money than what one needs in order to have a huge bank account full of money so one can say that one's a billionaire. I noticed in India, if you go to Udaipur, it's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Lots of eagles there. The ghats are lovely in the winter. There's the Lake Palace. The Lake Palace is where they did the film Octopussy. It's a fairly impressive hotel. But you'll notice that most of the people that stay there are the local Indian business people. The Western tourists don't stay there because 15 years ago, the cheapest room was $2,500. By these days, prices is probably the cheapest room there is like $4,000, I'm guessing, a night. So most Western tourists don't spend that kind of money. And it's like living in the kind of environment the Queen would live in England, for example. But it is a show of money. And you'll find that the rich oligarchs of India stay there in order to prove how much money they've got. So they get an $8,000 a month room. I mean, $8,000 a night room. Where in that area you could get a very, very nice room for $50. For $100, you got a really amazing room. For $200, you've got like a really sophisticated, perfect, lovely hotel room. That's the equivalent of, say, $500 to $600 in the West for a night. To give you an idea of the scaling of money in India is very different. And so this competition has got a lot to do with our status. And status has been based upon how well we compete, which is unnatural if you think about it. Because humans are a pack. And so as a pack, we're supposed to operate together. If you watch birds when they're flying as a group, they don't compete. They operate with each other. They find those that are the most productive to lead the way. And they take turns and they operate as a synergetic expression of the whole. And the same can be seen in the migrational patterns of many animals. Observe a wolf pack, the way they operate. Yes, there's a pecking order, but the essential structure of a wolf pack is not all wolves competing with each other. The essential structure of a wolf pack is cooperation, hunting as a group, hunting as a pack, creating success as a group. And then once the group has generated success, those that put in more energy get more out, which is a natural state of being. But it's fundamental to understand that this unnatural, mental, delusional state of consciousness that we've gotten so used to, so climatized by through the education systems, is programming us to be disconnected from ourselves and from nature. So remember that next time you're feeling the urge to be competitive. Realize and recognize that it's you being programmed by the world around you, being programmed by other people, corporations with ideals that are not aligned with your own needs and requirements. Keep it real, keep it sweet, and remember we're part of a bigger group. This is the Bush Whisperer coming at you from the most beautiful penguin sanctuary, Cape Agulhas, southern tip of Africa, Boulder Beach. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.